Does anybody have questions?
I have a question.
I have a question.
I have a question.
Well, what's that?
How many?
How many? How many?
Subscribers.
700.
700?
700! What do you think about that, Gracie?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.
Well, there you go. We've hit the 700 mark on YouTube, Marty, so that's not to be sniffed at.
Where'd that come from? Did you make that up?
No, I stole it off somebody else who put me on the internet. But anyway.
Wait, okay. Zuckerberg, forgive us, please.
No, you're allowed to steal it because I couldn't share it if we're not allowed to steal it. You see the way it works. So there you go.
We haven't been on for a couple of weeks.
No, we haven't. And we're back with a special this week. We've got Jeremy of Devil's Cask. Yeah.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, all the way from the US, just south of the Windy City. So he's going to be explaining, after we do the news, he's going to be explaining about a product that, transformative for lots of distilleries and save a lot of waste. Recycle, reuse, environmentally friendly. Stops places going black. The fungus, black fungus thing. So,
Does it stop the fungus? I didn't read that bit. Does it stop the fungus? All right.
Cuts it down. Can't say eliminates it totally. That would be legally prosecuted, possibly. But no, so interesting stuff. Jeremy, thanks for joining us, Pop.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, it's been a funny old week. So it has been a funny week, certainly over here. We've had quite a lot of people from the US over with us this week because we had President Biden was with us. And I think about half of America must have been on security watch. It's just incredible. They were everywhere. And they were all walking around. The Secret Service, they don't get the word secret. They don't really understand what the word secret means because they all walk in with Secret Service shirts on. It's not really kept. Not the best kept secret in the world. But yeah, there we go. Hundreds of them all over the place. But we'll get chatting to you after we do the news, okay? And so we'll say bye temporarily.
Yes.
We'll see you in a wee minute.
Okay, stay there for us. Here we go. Now.
Now, this week's been a bit funny because there's been a couple of premium releases. One of which this week was the Dingle, 10-year-old. Now, Dingle, we all love Dingle. Dingle's the first of the new Irish craft distilleries, and this is their first 10-year-old whiskey release. Now, 10-year-old, I know if you're in Scotland, 10-year-old's not a huge age. For Ireland, it's kind of a big deal, and it was nice to see that it was coming out. However, there was a problem. First of all, they issued out a link to say that it was going to be there, and then the page wasn't uploaded. It wasn't
right
at that point. Then the next day, they released the link, and the site crashed.
Oops.
Aye, that's never good. I mean, you know more about you know vastly more about this than I do, but surely it can't be a big job to put an extra 50p in the meter or something, and an extra £1 in the meter and get a bit of extra bandwidth when you know it's going to be.
Well, I had to do that the other week for the snooker, and I was doing it as the snooker went ballistic. I had to put money in the meter, and it didn't crash.
Well, this is not a hard thing. The other thing, I was talking to a couple of guys during the week about this. It's a lovely box, it's a lovely presentation. It is something a little bit special, but the price tag, €385 a bottle.
Is that the attack the secondary market, Marty? Is it?
Well, they sold out, so I mean, I don't blame anybody for doing this, but it's one of those things. If you're going to charge for a real premium thing, limited edition. I mean, this is a single cask, and that's fine, but it kind of puts some people off thinking, well, are they going to release more 10-year-old? And if they are, what prices are going to be. You know what I mean? There is an element of it that it's just too pricey, and there's so much of this ultra premium stuff coming out, and it's getting more and more and more and more expensive. But if people are prepared to pay for it, I don't blame the distilleries for doing it. But I think when you're going to release a premium product like that, you know it's going to be in demand. Your website shouldn't crash. It really shouldn't. That's an easy fix. So yeah, there just was a sort of air of mishandling of the whole thing. Now, speaking of ultra premium, I got an email this week about 2 new releases from Bushmills. Now, we've all been looking for premium stuff from Bushmills. We all know that they are, when they do it right, Bushmills are the best distillery in Ireland. And I know that they're my closest one, but the spirit that they have is fabulous stuff. This is a 25-year-old. There's going to be 3,500 bottles of this. Now, a 21-year-old Bushmills will set you back 160, 180 pound a bottle, which seems a reasonable price. This bottle, the white one, don't bring up the purple one just yet. The white one, this is going to set you back 790 pound a bottle.
It looks like it's worth that much.
But possibly. The purple one you just flashed up there is going to be a 30-year-old. And 46% bourbon, then bourbon and sherry cask for 14 years, then first fill PX for a further 16 years. Now, there's only going to be 1,500 bottles of this. Price tag, £1,900 a bottle.
There's
Yeah.
not a lot margin for increase there, is there?
Well, yeah, it's pricey. It's really pricey. And you know, there's so much of this stuff coming out that the ultra premium stuff. Loads of people want to get it. Problem is, nobody's going to be drinking this. Very, very, very few of them are ever going to be opened, and that I don't think going forward that's a healthy thing. I just see David Boyd Armstrong coming in there, Irish Bonding Company, which is part of the Redemon estate, that are bringing out bottles of bonded spirit, and the presentation's beautiful. I really must get one of them up, and it's like £35 a bottle, you know, and that's not getting maybe as much credit that they're bringing out these spirits at that. It doesn't reach the headlines. It's not headline grabbing, but more of that should be congratulated, you know. Yeah,
I was actually down at Monalto Estate just beside them last week, and they're beautiful. It's beautiful in there, beautiful walks, beautiful house.
Yeah.
Tony Sillett is saying 1,900 equals 63 per year. Yeah. Oh, frig's sake! Here's a sword rubbing it in. William has saying last week I was with William at the theatre. We were on the goodies, the baddies, and the uglies, and William is saying hello briefly from Switzerland. That's enough. I won't have a Toblerone.
We ain't got a Toblerone, and yeah, listen out for cuckoo clocks. But yeah, get your wee knife.
I don't know. Who knows where this is going to go? They're all,
yeah, but I
but
mean,
at least their presentation's better than that Middleton, by the looks of that.
Well, that's another thing. The new Middleton boxes, I'm not keen on them. Not keen on them. Now, all of this ultra premium stuff, yeah, they make the headlines. As I say, the industry stuff is the guys that are pulling out the bottles that people buy and drink is probably more important than anything else. Now, you could, if you see one of these bottles, don't be doing what Marion Ferrou did. He decided with a bottle of Dalmore that he would, he would take it out. And he decided to take it out via the means of, if you pull up the headline for us, Justin.
No, hold on. I have to get it. There you go. We'll see. Here it comes.
There it goes. Where is it? Oh, there.
It's coming. There it is.
Aye. He decided to pull out by sticking a bottle down the front of his trousers. Is that a bottle of Dalmore, or are you just pleased to see me? Yeah, he got probation, and he's been allowed to stay in the US. He doesn't look that happy about it, to be fair. He doesn't look all that happy to be.
No, he doesn't.
No.
But personally, I would have thrown the book at him, but that's another story.
Well, a $7,500 bottle of Dalmore. He decided to put it down the front of his trousers. Yeah. So yeah, he got caught. And how tall is he? That's in inches. He's not 6 foot. Pull down the photo. He's not 6'9". You see, he's 5'8".
What's the 69 for? Is that 69 centimeters?
Inches.
69 inches is 5'8". Is it? All right. There you go. I wish America had a gone metric. It would have been so much easier with the bottles as well.
Yeah. You ever see America? There's a page called things American measure to stop using the metric system, and it's always like stuff. Oh, they've caught a snake in the Amazon that's 14 Winnebagos long or something. You know, they won't use metric system. But yeah, so don't be doing what Miriam Farouk done. Don't be sticking the bottle down from your pants. No. I like this story. This is something that I find funny. Cask Share, who are an independent bottler, have a ballot running for a chance to get their bottle of an unnameable 33-year-old Islay whiskey. Now, they had a court injunction. They had a disclaimer saying they are not allowed to tell you what this distillery is. Okay? So the non-disclosure, they're not allowed to disclose it. However, what they decided to do was name it Began Tasteful Icon. All right?
Okay.
And if you go to the mapping site, what 3 words, and put that in, up pops a little map showing showing you the map of where that might be. So they're not naming the distillery from which it comes from, but if you pull it up to full screen, you could hazard a guess which one it would be. So they haven't broke the disclaiming order. You can't protect from people using three little words. So I'm hazarding a guess. Could it be Ardbeg by any chance? So yeah.
Can you pick the words that you want, and what 3 words?
No, they've all already been assigned.
So it's coincidence then?
It's every 3 feet or something. It's every meter squared. There's been using the imperial system. It's like every meter squared has 3 words. That's not exactly on the distillery, so it must be ones that they looked and seen that's what it was. But yeah, it's pretty cool. So that's how they get around it. Now, this bottle of 33-year-old Ardbeg that you're not allowed to call Ardbeg, the ballot is £2,000. So yeah, again, they're not getting cheaper these. But yeah,
no, definitely aren't. Now, where are we heading next tonight?
We're heading over to the US, where a very rational and sane individual has decided that he didn't like Jack Daniels. He's been a Jack Daniels fan all his days, but he has decided that since they went woke, he's got all offended. He's got very offended. I'm all offended. So he did a video of him. We get a video taken of him destroying his Jack Daniels collection. Now, it's because they've went woke, apparently, and he's decided to burn and destroy his Jack Daniels collection. Why he wouldn't just give it to a mate or something and not make a video? If you're that offended, make a video. Oh, I'm all offended.
Here we go.
Imagine living next door to this guy.
As you all know, I am the biggest advocate and supporter of Jack Daniels whiskey. Have been for 40 years of my life, if not longer. Here's the deal. You went woke. The company's been going and making badass whiskey for 150 years, since 1866, and out of nowhere, you want woke. So this is what I got for you guys. Mirror that has been in my every house I've owned.
What's he going to do with it? Oh no! He could have put that in whiskey auctions.
Every Jack Daniels glass that I've ever owned.
He's not putting that in the recycling bin.
I don't know what is recycling with that guy.
That's the brown bin for garden waste.
Every wooden sign that's been up in my pubs.
You're not allowed to burn that in a built-up area.
I don't think this guy's as law-abiding as one might hope.
Oh no! Get some coke. It works fine with coke. Oh, he's gonna burn it. Oh no. Oh no. Jordy, he did this because he doesn't like the woke adverts with, you know. He's a redneck. I don't know. He might take legal action, Tony.
He's a lunatic.
Oh, there's more going in. They're later bottles too. Oh no, that looks like a real. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, look at that. Oh no. How much of it does he have, Marty?
And the capper.
They're the big bottles, yeah. Don't know what he's doing.
Two of the world's most expensive Jack Daniels. $250 a bottle and $100 a bottle. Fuck your woke ass company.
All the guys been there, in case you're offended, and then go and burn every images of Justin.
Oh, he set it on fire. I can't hide that thing that appears. I don't control that.
He's trying to burn it all off. All the alcohol just burned off. Not that happened. That's dramatic.
Burned it all off. There you go. Wow. Wow. That is crazy. That is crazy. Crazy.
Jack Daniels, I'm going to have a wee one. Because I see all of these people who are permanently offended by something. Oh, God, remember you used to laugh at these people. Oh, I'm offended. And you just go, dead on, piss off, turn it off. You don't like it, just don't drink it. Now they have to make a statement. Just, it's so boring. But yeah.
But theoretically, it could harm them if their customer base doesn't like the adverts.
But that's fair enough. If people don't like adverts, that's fine. It's the whole idea of, I must tell everybody I'm offended. Oh, it's offending me. Oh, film it and that's everybody. Right, dead on. There's loads of stuff offend me. I don't bother filming it and then putting it out, letting everybody see. Just give the whiskey to your mate, throw your stuff in the bin and do it in the quiet. You know. Anyway, now Irish whiskey auctions this month have a phenomenal lot for charity. It's the Middleton Very Rare 2023 bottle number 00001. This is, I don't know what this will go for, but it's an unbelievably desirable bottle. So yeah, and this is for a forestry charity. I can't remember what the FGRT stands for, but it's a forestry charity that they've worked with. But
Forest Genetic Resources Trust, which is very much needed because we only have in Ireland about 10 or 11% of forestation, and we need about 22.
Yeah, they've worked with them on the Dargaelic range, and that's why I have my bottle of Wishing Tree sitting beside me here, one of the unofficial Dargaelic range. Very nice bottle to have. But yeah, that is a fantastic. I mean, that will look amazing to get that. So yeah, it's very kind and very generous of them to have that up as an auction. Bottling.
Good.
Yeah.
There's the link on screen if you want to go and click it in the comments below, and that's it. Yes, Tony Sillett's referring back to the Budweiser. Budweiser is going to be next. Yes, it probably is.
Someday we go out and try and set fire to Budweiser. Yeah. But yeah, that's the guy. Anyway, so that bottle, that's well done, Irish Distillers. Well done to Katie and Anthony down Irish Whiskey Auctions. That'll go for a big deal. But yeah, it's a nice thing for a charity. Down at the reasonable level, coming out from West Cork Distillers, Thin Lizzy whiskey in the bar bottling. This is £40 a bottle, and it's done in collaboration with the members of Thin Lizzy and the family of Phil Lannett. So yeah, they've taken their time. It says here it took 2 years to get this up and running. And it says here double charred oak casks for their Thin Lizzy whiskey. I think the bottle looks really sharp. If you scroll down a wee bit, Justin.
Can I scroll down? How's that? Not too bad. Yeah.
So I think the bottle looks pretty sharp. The graphic on it looks really nice. So yeah, that's available for pre-order, and it's whiskey in the jar. Yeah, that's every celebrity, even dead ones now, are bringing out whiskies. So that I think looks really cool, and a really cool band back in the day.
Excellent stuff. The link for that is also in the comments below. Remember to comment, like, and share if you're watching us. Hit subscribe. We're on YouTube. We're on LinkedIn. We're on Twitch. We're on Telegram. We're on DLive and Rumble as well when I can upload the file. And we're hoping to be on TikTok live and Instagram live again soon, because they are allowing live video again. For some strange reason, they've changed their mind. So...
TikTok, thank you. All right, President Xi, don't steal all my information off me and stuff. Anyway,
no.
Last night we were in the Go Sun in Ballymena. We had a tasting with the wonderful Stanley, and we did Japanese whiskies. So yeah, we did it. We did 4 Japanese whiskies. So we did 2 Nika coffee, distilled the grain and the malt. The grain, lots of people were raving that the grain was their favourite. To be honest, I would prefer the Hibiki, but the grain was superb. A Hakushu and then the Hibiki down there. So yeah, we had a great night. It was a good crowd. There was nearly 50 people at it, and there, if you left me regaling everyone with wonderful tales of daring do. So yeah, a good night. And I mean, unbelievable value for money. It really is. You get the 4.
Yeah, it was.
Oh,
it was great. Where's the bottle gone? Where's it gone?
They've
gone into the wrong order. Facebook put them in the wrong order. There you go.
So the four whiskies, and he brought out food. Now I don't think anybody had been leaving the place hungry.
I certainly wasn't.
It says light snacks, but he was bringing out spare ribs and stuff. You know, there's plenty of food for $37.50. My God, you couldn't ask for any better. So a packed house. So we're planning another one. This time it's going to be Scotch, and I imagine we'll get a wee bottle of this on the go.
Now the people that were sitting beside me said they didn't like peated, so if it's peated Scotch,
this is the wonderful, the amazing, the gorgeous, beautiful Victoriana. This is so gorgeous stuff. So yeah. Now, all from the news, except with one last picture of President Biden.
Where is he? Where is he? Where is he? Where's he gone? Where's he gone? He's gone. He's gone somewhere. There he is.
Thanks to all the guys who came in, who the Secret Service guys and all who appeared in.
That's a fake photo, Marty.
It's one of the guys in the Duke of York wearing a mask. All right, some of Somebody said to me, I showed a picture of this, I was having a laugh, and I says, oh, look at the poet. He says, oh, that boy looks wild like Joe Biden. I was like, yeah. No, we have had loads of people, loads of guys over from the States, all the Secret Service and all the guys coming in. Some of them give me little challenge coins and stuff. They come in, we've done the tour around the Friend of Hand, and they loved it. And yeah, so hope Joe had a nice time. Bill Clinton's walking around Botanic as we speak. So ladies of Botanic, beware.
Yeah. Oh boy. So shall we bring our guest in and see if he's ever met the President of the United States of America?
Bring him in our Jeremy. So we can speak to him.
Have you ever met the President of the United States of America, Jeremy? Have you?
No, I have not. That's nope, haven't done it yet.
No, he I have to say this, because this is one of the weirdest stats I've ever heard in my life. One of the guys, the Secret Service guys, was there, and I says, "Look, there's a wild lot of stuff gets flowed over." You know, he says, "Do you know how many plane loads of stuff come in?" Now, they're not all sitting there. It's plane loads of stuff coming over and flying back. Have a guess. Have a guess.
I don't know. 80?
70. 70 plane loads of stuff. Okay. It's just incredible. 70 plane loads of stuff arrives over. It's just, nuts. So it's something to see. But yeah. So, yeah. So, Jeremy, you've done a product that, in the face of it, some traditionalists will say, "Oh, you can't interfere with the method of production of whiskey." Oh, blah blah blah. But you've come up with a product that is environmentally friendly, is solving a problem in whiskey, called the Devil's Cask. Tell us about it. What is it?
Yeah, so it's a vapor barrier coating that goes on the exterior side of the barrel to minimize angel share, maturation loss, all these types of things. And actually, it's funny enough, I'm talking to you guys about this, and you started off the whole presentation on Dingle Whiskey. It actually spawned from me being at Jameson and Dingle Whiskey about in 2019. So I'll kind of give you a little bit of the backstory there. I went on vacation to Ireland 2019, flew into Dublin, went up to Northern Ireland, and then came over to Dingle. And that was my first whiskey distillery tour ever, was at Dingle Whiskey.
Oh my God.
It was the same year that they had won Best Gin at a festival. And
that was best gin in the world, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I ended up buying 3 or 4 bottles of Dingle. I had a single pot still and a bunch of other ones. So I'm super interested in that tenure that you were just talking about. I drank it all, so yeah, it's really good. And then I ended up traveling, back over to Dublin there and toured Jameson and went through that whole facility and basically was introduced to the idea of angel share and maturation loss, and the idea that whiskey goes in the barrel, it ages for 10, 12, 15, 20 years. And by the time they open up that barrel, in a lot of cases, it's sometimes half empty or more, right? And so just kind of being exposed to that whole idea. And I was curious, I'm like, it's crazy. These companies are just allowing all this spirit to evaporate out of their bottle. It's losses, right? I mean, that's money that if they could bottle it and sell it, that I'm sure they'd be happy to do so. And so I just did a lot of research and started looking into it and found out that there hasn't been a lot of innovation in the space in terms of producing and manufacturing whiskey. And that goes from Irish whiskey to Scotch to bourbon, right? The way it's been done for 200 years or more is a lot of the, how they do it today. And what we're starting to see, and this was really manifest from the idea at Jameson of they have a little craft distillery that they have there in Dublin called Method and Madness. It's on the same property as Jameson there in Dublin. And then I went across the street over to Guinness, and they opened up with Diageo their own little whiskey distillery called Roe & Co. And it just sparked a light bulb in my head. I was like, man, there's a lot of innovation and a lot of new ideas and the whole boom of craft distilleries, right? Like now is a time that maybe this tried, true heritage traditional industry might be looking to adopt new technology, innovation, and progress and kind of bring it into the 21st century.
Yeah.
And so that's really where the whole the idea of Devil's Cask came from. We primarily are a technology and innovation company as a resource for existing distilleries and cooperages alike to kind of modernize themselves and get into the 21st century with newer technologies while keeping the flavors and the processes tried, true, and traditional. What we like to talk about is innovation without disruption.
Yeah.
Right. You still produce and manufacture everything the same way you've always done it. You still get the same flavor profiles and have the same stories and the same, but from a corporate business perspective, they're able to produce more product.
Yeah.
And ultimately the demand for bourbon and Irish whiskey and everything is, as you guys know, it's through the roof over the past couple of years. And they can't keep up. They can't produce enough of it. There's not enough barrels.
And if they can't produce enough, the price goes like this.
Exactly. And so you're seeing all those things. And so the technology that we've patented and developed and are implementing allows for up to 20% more bottled spirit to come out of a barrel. So traditionally, where you may have been getting 300 or 350 bottled proof bottles out of a barrel, we can increase that number to over 400 in some cases.
Wow.
And that allows for those distilleries to make more of your favorite whiskeys and maintain a similar price point without having to escalate it, right? So it's great for the consumer, it's great for the business, all those types of things. So
now, in terms of reduction, you sent over a couple of graphics about in terms of the reduction from, I mean, your company's based in Fort Worth in Texas.
Yes.
Now, in terms of when people talk about Angel's share, in Scotland, they lost about 2% a year, roughly. In Texas, that's considerably more because of it. So, I mean, these days, everything is about environmental responsibility, environmentally aware, stop wastage, all of that kind of stuff. In terms of in Texas, roughly, what percentage would you guys be losing? 10?
It's 7% on average in Texas. Kentucky, when you're producing bourbon, typically is 3 to 4%. And then we've also even started exploring, again, this can be used for anything barrel-aged spirits. So añejo and extra añejo tequila in Mexico and rum and all that in the Caribbean, they actually experience sometimes up to 10% a year of loss just due to you put the whiskey or the spirit in the barrel and you let it sit there, and 12 months later it could be 10% lighter. Right? So it's pretty fascinating, and that's a lot of money they're losing just by going through the natural process. And what we try to do, what the technology allows for, is to maintain a lot of that spirit still in the barrel while allowing oxygen still to come in and allow for those oxidative reactions and things that really help mature and develop the character of the whiskey that we're all familiar with, while just minimizing the amount of losses that occurs. Right.
Yeah. Now, I don't obviously. What's your background?
It's chemical engineering. So my whole career so far has been based on a very similar process to this, as waterproofing, vapor barriers, all those types of things. And again, that's where the light bulb went off in my head about I was doing everything vapor barrier, waterproofing, air and oxygen transmission exchange rates for all kinds of different industries, and I was like, man, this would be a really cool one to solve and to tackle. So, for the past 3 years, that's what I've been doing. And I've got a great team behind us at Devil's Cask here and making all kinds of progress on it. And it's a lot of fun. So
the whiskey industry is a lot more fun than I read in the blurb, but roofing is it?
Yeah, exactly.
Roofing's in this is I have to get my roof fixed, by the way. I can do with some of this up in my roof. But yeah, I mean, whiskey's a bit sexier than roofing, I think. Now, what is it? Because in my head, I have this idea of it. You're gluing up the hole to stop the
Exactly. So it's not glue, and I want to make sure that everyone understands. We're not just gluing it all together, right? It's a silicone. So we're all kind of familiar with silicone, right? In terms of your frying pan in your kitchen probably has a silicone handle on it, right? Things like that. A lot of medical devices and medical equipment has silicone. So it's very similar to that. And the beauty of the technology is it's breathable. So it allows for air and oxygen to still what we call passivate or transmit through the membrane, which allows, again, for the oxygen and air to get in the barrel still while restricting, not completely cutting off. It's a breathable membrane that still allows for the natural processes. It just reduces them or slows them down so that over the course of roughly 5 or 10 years for Irish whiskey, whatever it may be, you experience a 40% reduction in what you would have normally been seeing in terms of losses, volume losses, right?
Yep. So, I mean, Jordy Burke is making a point here that some of the maturation, it takes on the romance of it is that it's down and it takes on that sort of briny character. Excuse me. So does that prevent it? You know, because in my head, it's like you're sealing up the cask. You're not letting anything out, but you're saying it's breathable. So
exactly, it is not sealing it. So that's the trick and the beauty of it. It is we could seal it if we wanted to, but that's not the point. We want to minimize, so it still breathes. It still allows for some ethanol and emissions to come out of the barrel, and it still allows for air and the natural environment around the terroir, right, of all that to affect. But it just minimizes the amount of losses that you experience from barrel leaks, dehydrated staves, cracked barrels, all those types of things. It can kind of buffer and mitigate some of the damages and just durability that the barrel has, right, over time.
Somebody else is asking there, Tony Sella, is the plastic removable to allow cask repair?
Yeah, so it's not plastic. It's a rubber membrane that we're painting on. So it is brush applied, spray applied. It very much goes on like a paint, Marty. I think you were kind of alluding to that a little bit. It goes on like a paint and cures into a durable rubber. And that rubber is breathable and has pores, very much like your skin, right? Your skin does a great job of keeping all the moisture and water in your body kind of thing, but you still sweat and breathe, right? And that's very similar to what the technology does for the barrels. It still allows the distillate, the whiskey in the barrel, to interact with the wood and get all the extractives and congeners and organoleptics, all of those great flavors that you want, while still allowing for air to ingress into the barrel and have all those reactions that produce vanillin and all the different things that you really want, right?
Yeah. Did you have to get FDA approval, or does it not come into?
So that's a big thing we've been working on. We have been going through the process of getting it FDA food compliant, NSF, all the different international committees to have it be registered as safe. Right now, internally, yes, we recommend and use that product like that. We are still going through the official processes to do all that because it takes a little bit of time. But I would say right now we're a couple weeks away from officially getting the stamp of approval as well as the patent on all of it. So we're just a couple weeks away from finalizing all that, and all the results so far are very favorable, and we will be achieving that here in the next couple of weeks. So
Linda Cox is asking the question, how long has it been in the market and who's using it? Or is anyone using it yet? Or have you?
We have distilleries all over the United States using it right now. Just based on just confidentiality and some stuff, I probably can't disclose a lot of the names, but they're very much bottles and spirits that you can find on the shelf that many of you have probably had before with bourbon and some Texas distilleries and some stuff like that. So it is being used, and we are getting it, it's an emerging technology, and more customers, distilleries, and cooperages are adopting the technology as well. And so that's where the team is really doing a lot of effort to get it, more mass market accepted. And our next step is to come over to Scotland and Ireland, and hopefully in a couple weeks here, there's the World Distilled Spirits Conference in Scotland and Edinburgh over there. Yeah. And we're hoping to, have some great conversations over there as well. So
now, I'm just thinking of a couple of things. Off the top of my head. Now, if it's stopping the ethanol essentially coming out, and water as well, but I mean, water's not going to do any damage. Ethanol is. There was a big case in Tennessee recently about the whiskey fungus.
Yes.
Now, obviously, I mean, it reduces that, I assume. Yeah. Not as much ethanol, then you don't need the same protections there. That'd be fair enough.
Yeah, the whiskey fungus thing is pretty interesting, and Diageo, Johnny Walker, all that team over there in Scotland, they've had some concerns with that over the past 10 years as well, and that whiskey fungus, that black mold or algae, is a naturally occurring fauna, but the the food stock for it that allows it to grow is the ethanol, right?
Yeah.
So it's very much concentrated around rick houses, warehouses, and distilleries. And really, it eats the ethanol in the air. So one of the things that we are looking into further is our technology by reducing the amount of ethanol emissions that the warehouse and the rick house experiences. It may decrease the food supply, the food stock of that whiskey fungus, and ultimately minimize its growth, right? So those are some fun things that we're looking at. We don't have definitive evidence on all of that yet, but those are some tests and some experiments that we are running and working with some distilleries on. So yeah,
surely that's logical. If you cut down the food source, it's not going to grow. And
exactly.
I mean, and another thing, I know this, because there's not as much ethanol getting out, would that make it safer in terms of fire compliance and stuff?
We've looked into a lot of those types of things too. It's really interesting. A rick house or a warehouse can store 20 to 40,000 barrels, right, of whiskey in it, and all of that ethanol and emissions can create hazardous conditions like that. Like the vapor in the air can very much, alcohol is flammable, right? So we are looking into some of those things as well. Even from a corrosion standpoint, there's a lot of, the infrastructure that supports that buildings. Those warehouses in some cases can be 6 stories, 7 stories tall.
Yeah.
And in a year or two, we found that the bolts in the infrastructure and the hoops on the barrels and all that become rusted within months, especially in more humid and higher temperature conditions like in Texas and Kentucky. Maybe not so much in Ireland, but you do have a lot of humidity there from the rainy days, right?
Our humidity's been through the roof in the last couple of weeks.
But just looking at it from that perspective, right, from how the reducing the emissions in the air in the local environment of the warehouse can ultimately support the infrastructure, reduce whiskey fungus growth. There's a lot of things like that without affecting the maturation and flavor profile development of the spirit. And that's really what we're experiencing and seeing is the industry has been so hesitant to make any change to their format and how they do things, how they produce whiskey, because they don't want to change the flavor. Customers they're very demanding and adamant that this is my single malt. This is how it should taste, and in 10 years from now, 15 years from now, it should taste the same way, right?
We've actually done experiments about this, Jeremy, and the stuff doesn't actually taste the same at 10, 15 years apart. Just so as you know, we have a special about that too, Marty.
That's the distilleries, and it's that idea of flavor drift. They tell you that Johnny Walker Red Label is exactly the same as it was 200 years ago.
They're sweeter.
It's not. It's not. Let's be honest. But no, that's not to do with what you're doing. That's to do with their blending product and their natural ingredients. But you're this product, I see in my head, and I assume this is probably the likes of Diageo have been trying to do loads of different things with this. I remember reading about them doing where they were actually had vents to try and take the ethanol out of the warehouse to put it back in, and all these mad experiments. It seemed mad, but I mean, they're trying to save money. In terms of cost, I see this probably really going towards the grain aspect, because the grain distilling, we all know they use old casks. I mean, the shape of some of the casks are very ropey, because they're not really looking for any flavor from the cask. It's basically to tick a box for the PGI, for the technical fight, and to stop any evaporation out of that. They're not really looking for the flavor per se. It's just for blending purposes. I mean, that seems to me like a no-brainer for them. They if it's not affecting the flavor, the cask's not really doing very much anyway. It's just to seal in and stop wastage and stop Just not
Yeah.
pushing.
Exactly. So it's very much overcoming that mindset of tried, true, traditional heritage. This is how we've always done it. This is the process. And again, kind of modernizing innovation and just progressing the industry from a manufacturing perspective into the next generation, right? And that's really what we're focusing on. This technology specifically does help with some of that. It helps from a, like I said, a corporate financial perspective, and that they can produce and sell more whiskey today by doing the exact same thing they've always been doing, except just buying or utilizing coated barrels, and produce 20% more spirit. So, shareholders love that, 20% gains in yields overnight by just, implementing what we've ultimately seen as a 25 to 50 cent per bottle increase on their price, from the distillery or cooperage perspective. So for pennies on the dollar, you can produce significantly more product, right?
I've just thought of it. Scotland could use this to beat the income tax.
Yeah. They've got a massive tax increase coming, basically an inflationary style tax. Inflation's not good. But no, I mean, long term, in terms of the grain product, I see absolutely no reason why you wouldn't do it. I mean, the Indian market, the amount of is enormous, and the amount that they can lose, and that would be a way that they could sort of keep price down.
Yeah, I mean, the number one whiskey in India is McDowell's number one. They sell like 52 million cases a year, like one bottle. It's absolutely phenomenal. Diageo does a phenomenal job with that, and it's they lose 10% a year in India to maturation loss. So
there is this the sort of romance of making whiskey. There is that romance, but when it's all said and done, it is just a lot of it's wasted.
Right.
I mean, you had whenever you went to Jameson, they tell you lost, is it 25,000 bottles a day?
Yes, exactly. So they have roughly 1.5, 1.6 million barrels of Irish whiskey maturing at any given moment in time. And maybe now it's more, right? And if you just do the math, 2 to 3% loss per year, it's around 26,000 bottles of Jameson, the traditional standard green bottle that we all love and drink all the time, is what they lose per day to maturation loss. And the advantage of this technology by reducing the maturation loss by up to 40%, they're able to produce or save another 10 to 15,000 bottles of Jameson a day. So it's huge dollars and value to them. And so again, those are the types of conversations that we're starting to have, and would really, continue to love having those conversations. And that's really the true value of the technology to the corporate businesses. To the consumers, again, you get to produce more whiskey and keep that price point lower. But then going back to the sustainability piece, there's a big, concern with trees, right, in the United States, because a lot of the barrels that are used to make Scotch and Irish whiskey, those are ex-bourbon barrels, right, that get shipped overseas. And the amount of trees that are available to produce the staves to make the barrels, they're in short supply, right? Yeah. So in the next 10 to 20 years, the demand for whiskey is going to be significantly outpaced by the amount of barrels that can be produced. And it's just you think whiskey is expensive today, you're talking about $1,200 and $2,000 bottles at the beginning of the show. Those same bottles will be so much more expensive in 15 years because they just won't have the barrels to put them in anymore.
Yeah.
And so again, by capitalizing on producing more whiskey out of the same amount of barrels you have today, you don't need to buy 20% more barrels, right? You can use the same amount of barrels you have today, produce 20% more spirit. That's really the value add that we are supplying to the cooperages and to the distilleries. And again, it's all over the world. It's a global problem, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Now, Tony Sellett is commenting here. Tony's a qualified cooper.
Okay, awesome.
Tony is a cooper, and he's asking a question: when rolling the cask, when you roll the cask, does that scuff off the seal, or does that empower it in any way?
Exactly. One of the things that we're trying to do with the coating is improve the durability and performance, knowing that when you flip the barrel on its side, those things full are 600 pounds when they're full of whiskey, right? Rolling them. Exactly. So we are working on the durability of the technology to make sure it is scuff and abrasion resistant. Some of the things that we're also trying as well, and Tony actually mentioned this, is most of the maturation loss and the leaks on barrels come from the crows and chime. It's the lip of the barrel, the head that goes to the lip there. That's where you get most of your losses, right? So just by coating that quarter hoop up and around the edge over onto the head, you actually can get 60 to 70% of the efficacy of the technology just by coating that specific area.
Yeah.
So
I think, Jeremy, you've done a lot of research into a lot more aspects of this than you're letting on in your product. There you go. But go on, continue on.
Yeah. So I mean, for rolling it, one of the things that we've looked at is not necessarily coating the bilge or like the belly of the barrel, right? So that you don't get any of that performance issues around the belly, and you still maintain the heads, the chime, the crow's area of the barrel as still being sealed. Yeah, Tony's like, I've got 100 questions, and Tony, send them all my way, and I'll work with you on them. But
well, I mean, the thing is, this is a guy that knows what he's talking about. This is a guy who's done his time, served as apprenticeship.
Yeah.
So he's the kind of guys everybody wants to be know what Tony is thinking about this.
Yeah.
Is it applied once? Linda's asking, is it applied once or every fill?
Yeah, so it is applied at the initial like rearing or raising of the barrel right at the beginning. But we have done instances where there's existing barrels in inventory or existing barrels at the distillery that you can coat. Again, there are some instances where a barrel in the United States is dismantled into just independent staves and it's shipped over and that's reassembled into a hogshead barrel or whatever, a different size or different configuration. We would maybe want to do some touch-ups on some of those areas, just again, specifically the crows and chime, or maybe some of the stave joints, things like that, to really enhance the efficacy there. I will say that you probably want to do some light maintenance on the barrel every once in a while. I mean, they do today. They do inspections on the warehouses and see which barrels are leaking, and if they're leaking, they fix them, and in some cases have to recooper barrels, all these different things, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions.
Yeah.
What whiskeys do you drink?
So I'm a huge fan of Scotch peated whiskeys. So I would say, honestly, my two favorite bottles. Yeah, Ardbeg's awesome.
Well, we're not allowed to discuss this according to Cask here.
My two favorite bottles are definitely going to be Elijah Craig bourbon, cask strength. I love that. That's one of my favorites in the United States. And then for Scotch specifically, it's Lagavulin. I'm a huge fan of Lagavulin 16 and all the different ones, and
that is lovely. All three of those distilleries in the south coast of Islay. Out of the three of them, Lagavulin would be the sort of refined one. It's still a bit of a boy racer, but it's a bit it's a bit more mature,
but that I mean, think about that company. They've got, I think it's in the second generation or third generation family, and it's been around for almost 200 years, right? And it's phenomenal, going back to the tradition and heritage and all that kind of stuff. It's just amazing.
It's just across the water from me, by the way. It's about an hour and a half on the boat across the water. But no, I'm glad that you're a bit of a phenolic peated fan, because I love peated whiskies, and I think sometimes peat just adds so much to a whiskey. It really does.
Yeah, I think it's a beautiful flavor. I think that's added in there for sure.
My girlfriend won my heart by saying, I like whiskey, and I hear that a lot. I hear it all the time. And normally it's, oh yeah, I love whiskey. I had one Jameson last Christmas kind of thing, Yep. She said, oh, I love that. I can't really pronounce it right. Is it Leprog? And I looked at this cute wee thing. Lefroig. Oh, and I love the Cask strength ones.
Yeah.
ding.
Yep, exactly.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's my kind of girl.
yeah.
Yeah.
Cask strength. That's a fun time.
No, I mean it's a super whiskey, but the craft. I mean, you guys are involved with the whiskey scene in the States,
Hmm.
and we are seeing just an explosion of whiskies over there, an explosion
Yeah,
of distilleries. And
yeah.
Texas is a real hotbed. I mean, I spent a few months there in El Paso over in West Texas, and I mean the amount of small craft distilleries who, to be fair, a lot of them were doing beer and have just upscaled a little bit.
Mhm.
And are you getting good Are you getting good
Yeah,
conversation?
and I'll give you some of the numbers there. In the United States, over the past 6 to 7 years, there's been 1,700 new distilleries producing whiskey. So just to give you an idea of how much of a boom the craft distillery market is
Yeah.
1,700 plus distilleries over the past 7 years. In Texas alone, it is the largest amount of distilleries in a single state in the United States.
Yeah.
It has become more than Kentucky, more than Tennessee. Again, Texas is just huge.
It's a big area.
There are about 150 whiskey distilleries in Texas.
It's incredible. Like it's incredible. I mean, and the thing is, I was in El Paso last year, and we got talking to the guys in the distillery in El Paso, and it's the age, how quickly some of the spirit, depending obviously on where it is, how quickly it ages and matures. And
Yes.
these guys were aging whiskey for 6 to 8 months.
Hmm.
And I tell you, it was extremely good for what it was. It was like $35 a bottle.
Yeah.
Like beautiful whiskey.
It's very interesting to see the stuff that's going on in Texas because of the heat and everything, right? You know, we're all very familiar with Irish whiskey and Scotch being very long-term, like you said at the beginning of the show, very long-term durations of time, 6, 12, 18 years and beyond, right? In Texas, because of the heat and the thermal cycles, you experience really hot summers and some colder winters, and even, you know, just throughout the course of the day, they tend to use smaller format barrels, so 30-gallon barrels, which is a higher surface area ratio of liquid to wood, right?
Yeah.
So you can get more extractives and pull more out of the wood quicker. And then you effectively put that in a heat chamber, right? And you heat that up and allow that to happen quicker. So that's where it's crazy to think that you can get 6 and 8 month old whiskey and it tastes pretty good. I mean, it's going to have a very different flavor profile than an Irish whiskey or Scotch, because some of those things do take time to come out, but
it doesn't taste young the way if you had a 3-year-old Irish whiskey versus that at 6 months, you would struggle. I mean, it's a totally different flavor profile.
Yep.
But yeah, I think what's happening in the States is really, really, really exciting. And I did a news conference with a guy, and the guy asked a question about where was the next whiskey region with Japan, and and I said the States has to be, because
there's just to kind of give you guys some insight, there's a big push right now for something called American single malt. So it's taking the Scotch whiskey production methods, and rather than it just being bourbon, which has to be in Kentucky, there's going to be an American single malt category that is all-encompassing of the United States. And there are several distilleries. I mean, Diageo just made a big acquisition of Balcones Distillery in Waco, Texas, primarily based on the idea that, they're one of the leaders and pioneers for American single malt. And they are putting their money in that. They think that's what's going to be, where the growth is. And there's a lot of American single malt stuff coming out. So
How would that work when you have places like Alaska and Hawaii, and even within the lower 48, it varies from virtually the tropics to the alpine?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you get a huge variety of flavors, and again, that's why there's so much of a boom of the distilleries. There were 1,700 that have come up over the last 7 years, but in total, there's over 2,100 distilleries in the United States, and they're all making a different name for themselves. They're all creating different spirits and having their own little different nuances. And that's one of the things that we love as a company from Devil's Cask. Again, the innovation, technology, and progress, and trying new things. One of the really cool things about the technology with Devil's Cask is once like a cherry wood or something that has historically never been very waterproof or very tight. You can't fashion a barrel out of it because it's just too porous and it'll leak. What we've started experimenting with is taking some of those barrels, coating them to make them more watertight. And now you can actually mature spirit in them for 2, 3, 4 years without having to worry about it leaking so much. So it also provides these distilleries with different innovation ideas, like trying different woods and trying different stuff that they previously just would have been a failure before, because when you open that barrel in 6 months, nothing would be in there because it was just leaked like a sieve. You know?
Yeah, you've covered one of Tony's other questions. He's asking about that. It covers all woods. I mean, it covers all different wood types.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah.
Another quick one. Does different liquids affect the covering? So if it's a different, if it's single malt or bourbon or
no.
Yeah,
when you really get into it, it's all water and ethanol, right? I mean, the ethanol is produced in a different way. It's distilled with maybe different mash bill or different characteristics, and those definitely impart certain flavors, right? But at a larger scale, it's just ethanol and water. Even when you get into tequila and rum, it's still just ethanol and water going into a barrel.
Yeah. Tony's going to plague you with questions. Yeah. What's the pH? Is it neutral? pH neutral?
No. So pH, and this is a funny little scientific thing. pH is only based on what you have to have water in the material to test a pH. The coating is rubber. There's no water in it at all. So there is no pH. There's no detectable or testable pH.
Excellent.
So, yeah.
Now, before Tony starts into a whole list of stuff, exactly. I think you guys can have a conversation for
yeah. Tony, definitely stay in contact with us, and we'll get your information from Marty and Justin here.
Absolutely.
And it looks like you got a ton of questions, and we can continue to even have a separate call with you offline here to kind of go through all that. But
I wish you every success, because as people go on and do these things, and they talk about environmentally friendly stuff, and this is something that can be done. It's not going to be compulsory if they want to stay with the romance of all of the craft.
Right.
For some of the big grains, it's just a waste. A lot of that.
Yeah,
I can see this being like Coke Classic, Coke, Coke Zero, and Coke Diet.
So. Yeah. And from our company perspective, it would be phenomenal if we coated every barrel in the world. But that's not that's not what we want, right? We're just, you can just coat 5 or 10% of your inventory and get the benefits from that and produce more spirit on a little bit. You're in a lot of Irish whiskeys, and if it's not single malt or Scotch whiskeys, it's going to be blended anyway. At least you're getting more volume out of a certain supply or a certain stock. By no means are we going to distilleries and being like, coat all your barrels, right? Because there's still a romance. You still want to have normal, naturally aging barrels that you have a specific, again, you really just don't want to touch that and mess with it. And we totally, adhere to that and recognize it and understand. But from a different perspective, there is also some benefits if you want to look at 10%, 20% of your inventory and maybe try to reap the benefits out of it. There's definitely some really cool opportunities there.
Yeah,
right?
I wish you every success. I really do. I think it ticks a whole lot of boxes for a whole lot of corporate reasons. And why wouldn't it be a successful? Yeah. Now I'm gonna have Justin. Before I go to bed.
We need to see what he's going to do tonight, because I don't have one of these. These are like
I have got. I'm not actually allowed to say what this is. I've only got a tiny, tiny little bit of it. I got just enough to wet my lips, and I can't say what it is. But it is magnificent. It's going to be released in a few weeks' time, and I'm not allowed to say what it is. But I assure you, this will be the only time I'll ever get to taste it, because if you see those other bottles that I was talking about being expensive. Hold my beer. This will blow that all off out the park. So I've got a little dribble of it. So Justin, I'm going to go and enjoy this. Look, Justin, look how lovely this is.
You got me jealous over here.
Well, I can't say in public what it is, but if you hang about after we stop recording, I'll tell you. Jeremy, I wish you every success. Stay in touch. Let us know what's going on.
Definitely.
Do you get a set of earplugs? Because Tony's going to ask you about a million questions if he says you up the call. But good on you, Tony. Thank you very much for all the interaction. So, best of luck, and we'll see you again soon.
Yeah, very much. Right. Thanks so much for everything, guys. Thanks, everyone in the chat as well. Thanks.
Stay there for us. Remember, we're on Twitch, we're on Telegram, we're on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn, we're on YouTube, we're also on Rumble and DLive as well. And anything else that I can find to upload it to, you can even find an audio version if you ask your smart speaker to play Irish Whiskey Review. Catch